What happens when the next generation can ask artificial intelligence almost any question and receive an answer within seconds? More importantly, how do we teach students to know whether that answer is actually true? Artificial intelligence is transforming the way students learn, communicate, and access information. From social media algorithms to tools like ChatGPT, AI has become a regular part of students' daily lives. Yet with this increased access comes an important challenge: preparing students to think critically about the information technology provides rather than simply accepting it as fact. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonah Perez, and today I want to discuss how artificial intelligence can be intentionally integrated into middle school social studies classrooms to promote critical thinking, AI literacy, source evaluation, and digital citizenship. Artificial intelligence is no longer something limited to scientists or technology experts. It has become part of everyday life, influencing how students search for information, communicate with others, and complete academic tasks. As these technologies continue to evolve, educators must prepare students not only to use artificial intelligence, but to use it responsibly. One of the greatest challenges is that AI-generated responses often appear professional, confident, and authoritative, even when the information may be incomplete, biased, or inaccurate. Because of this, students cannot simply accept AI-generated information at face value. Instead, they must learn to question information, verify claims, analyze evidence, and make thoughtful decisions based on credible sources. While these skills have always been important, they are becoming even more essential in a world where artificial intelligence can generate information on almost any topic within seconds. Artificial intelligence is now a regular part of how students learn, communicate, and access information. Students interact with AI through search engines, social media recommendation systems, and generative tools like ChatGPT. Technology has fundamentally changed the way information is consumed, both inside and outside the classroom. Because students encounter AI-generated content so frequently, the responsibility of educators is evolving. It is no longer enough to teach students how to use technology. We must also teach them how to critically evaluate the information technology provides and make evidence-based decisions. Teaching students to question artificial intelligence is not about discouraging the use of technology. Instead, it is about helping students become more thoughtful and responsible consumers of information. In many ways, this expectation is no different from what social studies teachers have always done. We encourage students to ask who created a source, what evidence supports a claim, and whether multiple perspectives have been considered. When students learn to approach AI with curiosity and healthy skepticism, they develop habits of mind that extend far beyond the classroom. Many students assume that technology-generated information is automatically accurate because it appears professional and authoritative. However, artificial intelligence systems are imperfect. AI-generated responses may contain factual inaccuracies, incomplete information, or perspectives that fail to capture the complexity of historical and contemporary issues. Students must understand that artificial intelligence should be evaluated just like any other source. They should question where the information comes from, compare it with credible evidence, and determine whether important perspectives are missing. By teaching students to verify information rather than accept it blindly, educators help students develop stronger critical thinking skills and become more informed users of technology. When artificial intelligence can generate information on virtually any topic within seconds, the role of the teacher changes. The focus shifts away from simply delivering content and toward helping students analyze, question, and evaluate information. This does not mean that content knowledge becomes less important. Instead, it means that critical inquiry becomes equally important. Students must learn how to investigate claims, support arguments with evidence, and recognize the limitations of artificial intelligence. These skills will serve students throughout their academic careers and future professional lives. They encourage independence, thoughtful decision-making, and responsible participation in a digital society. Fortunately, social studies classrooms are uniquely positioned to develop these abilities. Social studies education has always emphasized inquiry, source evaluation, critical thinking, and civic responsibility. Students regularly analyze primary documents, consider multiple perspectives, and support conclusions with evidence. These same practices apply directly to artificial intelligence. Educators do not need to create an entirely new approach to teaching. AI literacy. The skills that social studies teachers have always taught are precisely the skills students need to navigate a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence. Researchers Yedishin Soy and Rappaport argue that preparing active citizens requires integrating AI literacy into social studies education. As artificial intelligence becomes more influential, social studies educators have an opportunity to help students become thoughtful, responsible users of technology. Inquiry-based learning has always been a cornerstone of social studies instruction. Artificial intelligence can strengthen this process when used intentionally. For example, students studying the American Revolution could ask an AI tool to explain the causes of the conflict from both British and colonial perspectives. Students could then compare those responses with primary source documents, textbook information, and scholarly resources. Through this process, students discover that history is complex and that multiple perspectives must be considered before reaching conclusions. Artificial intelligence becomes a tool for investigation and discussion rather than a replacement for critical thinking. Similarly, students examining current events can use AI-generated questions to guide research and classroom discussions. This approach promotes student ownership of learning while encouraging deeper engagement with important issues. Students also need to understand that artificial intelligence is not completely neutral. Because AI systems are trained on human-created information, they can reflect existing biases and limitations. Learning to identify these biases helps students become more informed and responsible digital citizens. The benefits of teaching AI. Literacy extend far beyond technology itself. Students who develop these skills are better prepared for higher education, future careers, and civic life. They learn how to analyze information, recognize bias, evaluate evidence, and make thoughtful decisions. These competencies are valuable regardless of the career path students ultimately pursue. Students who understand how to evaluate AI-generated information will possess an important advantage. They will know how to identify misinformation, verify claims, and support their ideas with credible evidence. These abilities are valuable whether students pursue careers in education, healthcare, business, engineering, or public service. Equally important, AI literacy contributes to responsible citizenship. Modern citizens are constantly exposed to information from social media, news outlets, and emerging technologies. The ability to analyze information critically and make informed decisions remains one of the most important goals of social studies education. By teaching students how to interact thoughtfully with artificial intelligence, educators help prepare them to become active participants in an increasingly digital society. Artificial intelligence should not replace traditional social studies instruction. Instead, it should enhance inquiry, discussion, and critical thinking. The goal is not to encourage students to rely on artificial intelligence for answers, but to empower them to use technology responsibly and effectively. Ultimately, the mission of social studies education remains unchanged. We want students to become informed, active citizens who can analyze information and make thoughtful decisions about the world around them. As technology continues to evolve, these goals become even more important. By teaching students to critically evaluate artificial intelligence and use it as a tool for learning rather than a substitute for thinking, educators can help prepare the next generation to thrive in an increasingly complex technology-driven society. Thank you.